Watko Numerado Sewagoego. Greetings, everyone. Lindsay Jungens Steno Brant de Waxanazre, Gandeke Nina Wageno, Waganyato. Hello, my name is Lindsay Brant, and I'm from Gandeke, which is the place name for Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory, and I'm a member of the Turtle Clan here in Tyendinaga. I wanted to take a few moments to speak to you about land acknowledgments and what the importance is behind that and the meaning behind that. For myself, when I acknowledge land, I'm not only acknowledging the land and the peoples that are the caretakers of those lands, but also my connection to the earth itself, to my Mother Earth, and also to my connection to all of creation. And so I think I would encourage each of you to establish what your relationship is to the land and what your connection to the place that you're living in is. So what does it mean to you to be outside and experience nature in the way that I'm experiencing it right now? What do you feel and think and listen to or move through when you're outside? So it's important to think about those things and to think about the caretakers of these lands as well. Right now I'm on Mohawk territory, but just outside of this community and heading towards what is now known as Kingston, it was shared territory between many groups. So the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat people shared these lands. And so we give our greetings and thanks to them for taking on that role and that responsibility, and we recognize that they're the true caretakers of these lands. But we also think about what it means to share these lands and what it means to share all of us to share in connection and in relationship with each other. So I really encourage you to think about that and what that means for you, and to explore and get out on the land as much as possible and really enjoy, cherish, and love these lands and take care of them, and they'll take care of you as well. Yawagoa, thank you very much.
Good afternoon and welcome to Science Rendezvous Kingston's second webinar, our celebration of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. My name is Linda Colgan and I'm one of the coordinators of Science Rendezvous. And I'm here to just basically tell you how this webinar will unfold. In a moment, Dr. Alexander Wright from the Department of Physics, Physics Engineering, and Astronomy will be here to introduce our very special guest today, Jason French. What I am going to ask is that as you have questions about the kinds of things that Jason is speaking about, if you would please enter your questions into the chat. Jason will answer all of the questions at the end of his presentation, and he has the ability to go back to particular slides if you have a very specific question. So just keep your questions in mind, enter them into the chat, and then what will happen is that Alex will field those questions at the end. Thank you very, very much. And now I'm going to turn things over to Alex.
Thanks, Linda, and welcome everyone. As Linda mentioned, my name is Alex Wright from the Department of Physics here at Queen's University. And I'm pleased today to introduce our special guest, Jason French. So Jason has just turned on his camera. So Jason has been involved with farming all his life. He grew up on a dairy farm in Peterborough County. After attending school at Guelph, he worked in cattle genetics before moving to De Laval, which is a world leader in supplying dairy equipment to dairy farmers. So at De Laval, Jason is now the robotics solution manager for North America. And so today he'll be telling us about robotics in the dairy barn. In his spare time, Jason enjoys introducing young people to farming and has been active with the 4-H program throughout his life. And in his spare time, he enjoys curling. So Jason, we're all very much looking forward to your seminar on robotics in the dairy farm, and please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex, and everybody for allowing me to join you today. Just based a little bit on the broadband here of being able to do this, I'm going to shut off my video and then be able to start my presentation so my audio is clear today. So I'm not trying to hide anything, just trying to make this a good experience for everybody. So De Laval, our organization, our main message is we make sustainable food production possible. So a lot of farmers are producing food for you every day, and we are there to help them make that a good experience overall. So with that, just to talk a little bit about the company De Laval that I work for, it's an older company based out of Tumba, Sweden, and we were not only just a manufacturer, we also have this dairy farm as well. So we also milk cows. And then right behind here is our main plant where we actually manufacture our robots, and the tall building is our head office. So we're not just manufacturing, but we're also living the entire story as well of milking cows. And I just find it a fascinating story because, we don't always know how things get invented. And this gentleman right here was Gustave de Laval. And in 1883, he developed this little unit here called the Cream Separator. And farmers would, very small based, would take the cow's milk, pour it in to this unit. And there's a crank handle here that they would crank, and the milk would flow through and separate off for cream and then skim milk. So when you see this in the grocery stores, cream for their coffee, then this is actually how it kind of first initially got produced. And in 1899, he built that red barn that I showed you with a lot of great innovation from over 120 years ago. We are getting ready to build a brand new barn in 2022. So the farm continues to evolve, and same as our equipment. And this is one of the cows there at the farm enjoying this nice day when I was there a few years ago with the robot plant and the head office in the background. So that's just a little bit about, who our inventor was. But the family itself, if you've ever seen this logo in de Laval, it's also on our sister company, Tetra Pak. So you would see that on all your juice boxes and other kind of packaging as well. A very large company, and we're happy to be their sister company with them. So like I said, we've been developing equipment from 1883. It started, with the Cream Separator that you see here. Then they developed the automated milking a milking machine, just to help with overall labor instead of having to milk cows by hand. And maybe you visit a farm where the cows are tied in these nice comfortable stalls, and the farmer brings the milking machine to them. This is very evident in some farms today, but as farms got larger, other ways to milk the cows had to come into fruition. And these are milking parlors, and this is a rotary. Some people have heard it as a carousel. And this is where the cows walk from their beds, their eating area, and come into these parlors and come to the operator themselves. So certainly it was able to let farmers milk more cows a lot easier, and we still sell a lot of that equipment today. But it was a number of years ago that we got into robotics, and this is one of our first commercially made robots, and this is the one today. So I'll get into a little bit more about robotics, but you can see the evolution in 140 years from very manual made milking to now robotics. So it's a very interesting story, and I'm happy to tell you it today. So I'm going to go a little bit into some of the things that we do currently to milk a cow as well, and what's been doing in the past. And this is a milking parlor. So maybe you have visited a farm with a milking parlor where the cows walk in and the farmer will wash the teats manually. They'll put the milking units on manually. And then in the technology, we know how fast the milk is coming out of the cow. And once it gets to a point where it slows down, the milk flow, then the unit comes off. So you can see this cow, the milking unit is already off because she's given the amount of milk that she has for that time of day. So this here, I was just going to show you. This is a cow walking in, a group of cows walking into the milking parlor. And they kind of walk in comfortably and are able to get into the position like you see them here on the left. Now you're probably wondering what this stuff is on the floor. And this is a teat dip. And teat dip is an application that we put, it's an iodine-based product generally, that you dip the cow's teats with. So after they are milked, we want to make sure that there's going to be no bacteria get into that udder. So we dip the cows to protect that. But it's also has the ability to moisturize the teat and moisturize the teat so that the cow's teat stays soft as well, just like you would put it on your hands to keep your hands soft. So as the time of the milking gets done, now the cows that are in there they raise the front end, which has held them in position, and now they walk out very calmly. They're not afraid, and then they head off back, to their pen where they're going to go lay down and eat. So there is some technology in our milking parlors as well to help the farmer get the job done of milking those cows. Now I'll get to that other solution that we have, and this is a milking rotary. So the cows are going around like a merry-go-round. On the other side of this, they'll enter, walk on. They have a person washing the teats and then putting on the milker unit, as you see here. And then it kind of rotates around. And once again, the milking unit will come off based on how much flow of milk has been coming out of a udder. So once again, a very automated process in some of this as well. And so when we're talking about robotics, we also have robotics on these rotaries. So I talked about the T-tip and how you have to manually put it on the cow. This is a teat spray robot. And so this robot is able to know where the cow's teats are and go in between their legs and get that T-tip on, as you see here. So there's little knobs here where the T-tip comes out of, and this is a 3D camera that knows now to go in between the legs. It sees the teats and then it sprays that T-tip on. So this is a robot that kind of looks like maybe one you would see in another kind of a manufacturing facility, car making facility. It's a very similar arm like that, but it just has a different special duty. And this saves a lot of labor for the farm, because now they don't have to have somebody there dipping those cows. And it does it very accurately and consistently, so it'll give a good coverage of that teat dip on those teats for every cow. Or sometimes manually, when you do things, it's a little different and maybe not done the same from every person. So let's get on a little bit more about robots and the reason why you're joining us today. And so this is the very first robot that was developed back in 1982, 40 years ago. And so you might have parents that are 40. So this was when we started to develop, we need to find a way to robotically milk cows. And I'll get into the reasons why. So we're going for something that looks like this. And it now looks really cool and sleek, is today's robot right here. So you're probably asking, why do farmers want robots to milk their cows? And a big thing is labor. And this is Stephanie, and Stephanie is from Van Cleek Hill. You guys might know where Van Cleek Hill is. And this is her cow, J-Spot. And Stephanie, a young person, grew up on the dairy farm and wanted to take over the farm. Her father and mother and uncle have milked cows for a long time. They're going to retire. So she needs some help on getting the cows milked. And if we can save her that 2, 3, 4 hours a day of milking the cows, now she has time to do other things. The other thing too, like I said, the robots consistently milk the cow when she comes in, because if 10 of us went to milk a cow, we might all do it a little bit differently. And so, this is very important for the cow herself. The other reason why you want to go to the robot, we get a lot of data. We get a lot of numbers, information off of this robot. We know J-Spot, how much milk she gave this morning when she got milked, this afternoon, tonight. We can tell how she's feeling. If she's not feeling very good, we maybe know as well if she's pregnant, going to have a calf or not. And so these are a lot of things that we can certainly modernize and let the farmer have that data, that information a lot easier. And like I said, cow health is very important. So, you might look at J-Spot there and, she looks like a good, healthy cow, which she is, but maybe there's some information that came off the robot that's saying, maybe she is coming down with something. It's always good if you're going to have a cold, to get some medicine sooner, so then you'll feel better and respond back. And we want to do that with the cows as well. Certainly robots, it's less physical work. You saw those other ways of milking cows when you had to bring the unit to the cow. A lot of bending over, knees would get sore, backs would get sore. See it in parlors, sometimes shoulders and hands would get sore. So, you don't have that physical labor of attaching the milk cups. And if that farmer feels better, they're able to do things better, and plus they're going to enjoy their time. The next generation, like Stephanie, she's got a group of friends that maybe aren't from farms, and they like to, do some social activities around 6 o'clock. Well, that's when milking was, and she couldn't go. But now that the robots are milking, she can go out and enjoy her time and just make things a lot nicer. So you're probably wondering, how does this robot thing work? So there's a gate that lets the cow into the robot. So on J-Spot, on her ear, there was an RFID tag, and this is a specific number given to her of all the cows in Canada. So she has a specific number, and this is a reader tag, so she can walk into the robot, and it'll identify her that, hey, at 7:52 this morning, J-Spot's walking in the robot. And then there's a gate for her to exit when all the milking is done. Next, I want to show you is that we feed the cows in the robot. And that's a big reason why they want to come to the robot, is because they're getting a special pellet. This little pellet, just, a little smaller than, some of the dog food you might have or something, cat food. It's a pellet that's just specialized for that area. So they're like, hey, if I'm going to get that specialized pellet, I need to go to the robot. And that helps them to get milked, 3 or 4 times a day. And we know how much to give her based on how much milk she's giving, when the last time she had a calf, if she's going to have a calf again soon. We can adjust how much feed she's going to get based on her just walking in compared to the cow behind her. So when you have cows, you have a lot of manure, and that's something that we have to look at as well. And so when the cow walks in, this manger here, actually it's adjustable. It can move back, move forward based on her size of that cow. And she goes up here to the manure plate. And so if she has to go, then it'll go out the backside and not be in that area where we're going to harvest the milk from her. We want to keep things very clean. This is the arm that's going to work the robotic operation of putting the cups on the cow. So hydraulics are very quiet. They're easier to maintain, and they last a long time as well. So we want that, easy movement for the whole operation of getting that cow milked. And then this big chunk of the robot here, there's a lot of electronics. So if you like that aspect of things, there's a lot of electronics in robots. And it takes the milk, and there's a tank in there from that individual cow, puts it into the tank, and we can then sample that milk to make sure that it's good quality. If the quality is good, then it'll get pumped to the big tanks that will store it and then go to further processing to get to the store. If it's not of good quality, then it gets diverted and dumped into a pail or down the drain to say that milk is not good quality for us. So there's a lot of great quality checks along the way to make sure that the milk going on your table is good and safe. So that's how the milking process works. So let's watch a little video of a cow entering and exiting the robot. So here she is almost done And so the manger moved back, the gate is now opened, and she's walking out. Now there's a little bit of a battle here between these two cows. Who's going to be next? She walks in nice and calmly, and this little manger is going to fit her to be the right size, and it pushes her back to the back of the robot. So now we can start putting the cups on and starting the process. So it's very important for that cow to be nice and comfortable, so she's enjoying the experience, and we'll come back again the next time. So I'm going to get a little bit more into how technically how this works, the robot itself. And so we have a time of flight camera, which is, you know, a type of 3D camera that's on the robot. And how the 3D camera works, it is pulsing a light beam to a target. And for us, the target isn't the Christmas tree. The target is the teat on the cow. Then it reflects it back to accept that this is exactly what we're seeing. And then we can put this milk cup that's right here onto the cow to get her milked. The great thing about this process is we've developed the software to allow the robot to just see a teat and put it on, and we don't have to program it for every cow. Where some robots, you have to do that. A cow comes in, you have to use actually a little joystick to actually show the picture of where her teats are so the robot remembers. So it doesn't matter if it's a brand new cow or a cow that's been in 1,000 times, it'll do the same focus and put that teacup on. There's a little spray nozzle right here that washes the camera. There's a little air that blows on it to dry it. These are the two little nozzles for spraying teat dip, and the whole unit is extremely strong and robust, so we can keep it clean, and you know, it's not going to break down and be a problem. So it's a very, very tough arm that holds this camera. So I just want to talk a little bit about the milking process that we're doing here and what we call our teat cleaning. So the very first action that you see is we have one cup and hooked to a hose, and this is going to do that as washing the cow's teat, getting it ready for milking. So the cup goes on, and this is the teat right here, and there's little tiny holes, I'm not sure if you could see it, in that cup. And it is forcing warm water and air and working it like a vortex to really clean that teat. And then it stops the water, it blows air to dry the teat, and there's a bit of a vacuum. Always the vacuum is kind of low and taking any of that water away. And then when it's pulling it off, it's called a pre-strip. It takes that first little bit of milk to kind of get that cow ready to milk. Because I'm not sure if you've heard of the hormone in a cow, and in actually any female species is called oxytocin, and that allows the cow to release her milk out of her udder, you know, to be harvested. So if a cow, you know, sees her calf, and the calf wanted to come up and you know, suckle on that cow to get the milk out, she knows that she needs that oxytocin is released, so then the milk will come out of the udder. It's the same sometimes if they hear the sound of the milking machine, or the farmer is, you know, washing, massaging the teats, then that nerve impulse brings on oxytocin to release the milk out of the cow. So it's a whole bit of a process, you know, to be able to get milk out of the cow. So let's watch this little video, and it'll go through the washing and then putting the cups on for milking. So right now it's got the teat prep cup up there. It's just kind of doing those back teats. And if you just maybe notice on this teat, it's really close to us. There's a bit of straw there, and that was probably because of the nice straw bed that she was laying in, and it gets on the teats. And we don't want any of that debris or dirt, to go into the milk at all. We have many different filtering throughout the robot. So when it comes to this teat, you can see this one's very clean, but you can see that bit of water splashing in there, and it's working its way, getting that teat nice and clean. And it does this for about 10 to 12 seconds. Now that teat is clean. Now the oxytocin is releasing, and now we're going to put the cups on. So I want you to see how quick and fast it's putting it on, because it, from its 3D, that time of flight camera, it can see where that teat is, and it puts it on. So there's little grippers that grab the handle and then pop it on. There's the little handle that the gripper holds onto, and now it's coming in with the final one. And she is now milking away. It comes back, tilts over, and it holds the hoses in the middle of the cow. So if she lifts a foot up or something, she's not going to step on the hose and interrupt things. So this whole process, from her walking in, getting identified, going through the milking process, final little teat dip spray like that other teat dip sprayer robot I showed you gets done, and her exiting is about 6.5 minutes. So it's amazing. We have to work with her cow, how she works as a cow, and then get that milking process done there. So for every single cow, we track that data, that information on every cow, so we make better decisions. So this is the touch screen that's on the robot milking this cow. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 here that track each teat. And in that teat, we know the milk flow. So how fast is that milk coming out? We measure that in how many grams of milk per minute are coming out. And it could be anywhere from 900 to 1,500, 2,000 grams a minute. Every cow is a little different. And then we do the milk volume. How much milk is coming out? And we kind of know this is the total yield. We're expecting this cow to give 7.5 kilograms or 7.5 liters of milk this milking. And she gave 8.3, so she gave more than what we expected. The second thing that we measure in the milk is conductivity. And conductivity is the salt content in the milk. And that can show us if she's has the potential to get any kind of infection in the udder. And then if she does, we don't, we divert that milk. We don't allow it to go for processing. So we have a milk destination here. So this says tank. So her milk is good. It can go to the big main tank. If a cow is being treated with antibiotics because she's been sick, not feeling good, or has that infection in the udder, then that milk destination is to a divert. It's never going to go there. So when you see, advertisements that say no antibiotics in your milk, that is 100% true, because no milk has antibiotics in it that go to the store. Any of that milk that may have some gets dumped down the drain, not used. But we use antibiotics to get cows healthy so they can live a long, strong life. So I want to talk a little bit about, as well, is where do these robots fit in the barn, and how do the cows go up to them? So this is a bird's eye view of what a robot barn would look like. So there is enough stalls for every cow in the barn. So these black little cubicles are each of the stalls, and they're designed to be the right width and the right length for the cows. And then the bedding type is different. I mentioned straw, some have shavings, but there's a lot of cows that lay in sand. And sand, hey, we all love laying in a beach. And that sand forms to our body, and that's what's really important. So cows in sand, it forms well to their body, and bacteria doesn't grow very well in sand. So cows, they're going to lay down, they're not going to pick up any infection, that sort of thing. And that's very, very important for the health of the cow. Now, take a minute in your head. How many hours a day do you think a cow lays down? Okay, take a guess. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Got your guess? It's 12 to 14 hours a day that a cow lays down. And it's very important. We want her laying down so that she's well rested. And it's quite interesting. After she's ate a lot, she comes here, and this is where the milk starts to be made, you know, within her system from the feed that she's eaten a day. So we want those to be really comfortable. The robots, we put them in an area where there's a lot of room. So you see these 3 curious cows waiting to go into the robot, lots of space, so they can get around and get into the robot. We find that very important as well. The barn layout itself also has feed alleys. So this is this fence line here, these gates of where the cows stick their head through to get the feed. And the feed consists of corn, hay, minerals, some protein, and other aspects to really keep that cow healthy. You have a balanced diet. You're supposed to eat vegetables. You're supposed to eat protein and dairy, and it's very well balanced to keep you healthy. The same thing with a cow. We have to keep her ration well balanced. It's very important for that. We have some special pens behind the robot for cows that are going to have a baby, have a calf soon. We also have it, maybe she's not feeling the best, and we're not going to put her out here with all the other cows. We're just going to put her back in here to rest a little bit. We could still take her to the robot as well. And then we also have the area, which is the milk house. And so all that milk is pumped in these 1-inch lines to go into the milk house where the big tanks are. And within those tanks, before the tanks, there's a way of taking milk, and milk is 37 Celsius. It's the body temperature of the cow. We know that's too warm. We wanted to get it to about 4 Celsius. So it comes to the lines, goes through what's called plate coolers that take the milk from that temperature and puts it through a system of plates. The milk doesn't hit any of it, but cold water, glycol, to quickly cool that milk down before it goes in the big tank where it continues to cool. So that's what kind of a barn looks like. I was mentioning as well that, you know, when they're up eating all that corn and hay at the fence line at the feed area, the cow, as you can see here, she pushes the feed around and she sorts and she pushes it maybe a little too far that she can't reach it anymore. So some farms would have like a snow shovel and push it back in, or they have a tractor with a blade that pushes it down and pushes it back in. However, you know, at times when the farmers are busy in the fields or it's at nighttime, that feed is not getting pushed in. So we now have robots to push that feed in, and this is what one of them looks like. So it's a little auger system that pushes the feed over, so then they can start to reach it again and kind of mix it up to make it smell good again. And look at this cow. She's really curious to see what's going on, and then she'll come up and she'll eat some more, and that's great. That means that she's a healthy cow, and she'll produce more milk if she eats. Lots of safety bars on here, so if it gets touched, you know, in the place we don't want them to be at, it'll just stop, and the farmer knows, you know, to kind of get it started again. So this is a robot that runs on an induction line, so there's a wire in the cement that it follows, and so it doesn't get lost and it stays on track. And we can move it a little bit closer if we want, a little bit farther out. But this is yet another robot technology that's on a lot of dairy farms today. So I thought it'd be cool if we went and saw a milking robot farm. So let's get on the road here, and we're going to go to Comstar Holsteins, and they're located in Victoriaville, Quebec. This is the Comtois family. They put in 7 of our robots to milk about 350 cows. And they've really enjoyed the experience, and we're going to go see their barn. But first, let's take a cool little video to see the size of this barn that we're going to visit. So this at the front is the milk house of the barn, where I explained where the tanks are. There's a little office in the front. And then this is the length of the barn. It's about 850 feet long. And so very, very long barn. And yep, the drone's gonna pop us in. Always kind of a nice front entrance way. And then there's all the cows eating away all that fresh feed. They're eating, the cows are getting milk, the cows are laying down, they're socializing, a lot of activity, you know, happening in the barn. There's a swinging cow brush, brushing that cow off. So I'm just going to pop out of here, and we're going to go see the barn. And this is at Alex. Just give me a yes that you can see the 360 virtual.
Yep.
Great. So this is a little virtual tour. If you've ever gone on a real estate website, same sort of thing. So we can pull up, you know, different pictures within this barn. So let's just go right to the front door, and let's just walk in. So this barn has those big milk tanks like we talked about, and so the milk gets picked up every other day. This is a unit that talks to the robot to say, hey, the milk truck driver picked up my milk, and we've washed the tank and sanitized, and now the cooler, the milk tank is able to accept milk again, and the robot will start putting milk back into the tank. So if we just step inside the door, it's a long barn. It's kind of mirrored, so one side's the same as the other. So they have some stalls kind of for some cows, some special needs cows that they can still access the robots. So these are red ringed rooms is where the robots are. There's one here, there's two here. There's a third, and there's a fourth one over there. This is a nice little office for them, for their computer, to get all the data that they have there. So once again, there's the fence, where all the headlocks are, where the cows will go through to eat. So lots of width there. The manure has a little scraper that scrapes the manure down to the far end. I'll show you a little bit more of that in the next spot. So let's go down to the end of the barn to see what that looks like down there. So there's all the cows, you know, laying down. They're in that beautiful sand in this barn as well. So those cows are pretty comfortable in that, enjoying that time laying down as well. You may kind of wonder what these things are hanging from the ceiling. These are fans, so big vortex fans as well. So they're circling like a fan, but they're blowing the air down, and they hit these little ridges, and it disperses the air over top of the cows. During the summer warm months, the sides of the barn have these curtains that go down so the air can flow through the barn. In the wintertime, they will go up, but they're controlled by temperature. So all of a sudden, if the next morning it's a cold day, they'll put the curtains up. If it's all of a sudden a warm afternoon, the curtains will come down automatically to make sure this is the right temperature in that barn for that cow to be healthy. I'll just zoom over to this side to show you a few things. We have water stations throughout the barn. This is some waters that they can go to drink at, so they can go anywhere that they want. We have a little path here that we walk the cows through a cleaning solution to make sure their hooves are clean, kind of a little bit like a pedicure to that, so we can do that at certain times of the week. The manure gets scraped down and falls in this little trench, and then it gets moved to the end and then pumped out to the big tanks that you may have seen on that overhead view there. So let's just pop down and see closer to where the robots are. So here's the robot area. So this is what's called a smart selection gate. So a cow will come up to it. She gets identified and it says, hey, you have not been milked in 8 hours. We're going to put you in the area where the robots are. Or the cow will come up and it'll say, hey, you were here an hour ago. We don't need to milk you again yet. So we're going to put you back out where all the feed is so you can eat more and lay down and enjoy the rest of your day until your permission to come to the robot is ready. So these cows are ready to be milked. There is a cow in that robot right now. So what will happen, she'll exit just like you saw in the video. The next cow will come in. And this cow, she goes through and around and will come out on this far end and then join all our friends out in the big barn there as well. So lots of different areas within this barn as well. They have that little nice bedding pack for some of those cows that have just had kids. I'll just circle around to the other side, and they have some more of those nice straw pens to get some cows ready to have a calf, and then they will join the rest of the herd going through the robots. Last spot I'll just go to in the barn here is the room where the robots are, and just notice how clean it is. They have a lot of power washing hoses to keep things very clean. We're harvesting a food product. We're harvesting milk, and so we want to make sure it's a very clean environment, for the cows and also for the people working there as well, and because we're producing that great quality of milk all the time. So the farmer can come in here. You can see the cow getting milked, and any service or maintenance that has to be getting done on the robot can be done on this side. And and sometimes the robot will continue to milk as we service that robot. So we have lots of dealerships across the country that help us making sure that those robots are working properly. So if you guys are interested in electronics, engineering, that sort of thing, look at the dairy industry and the ability to come and help service our robots, fix our robots, because it's cool. You get to work with cows and all that fun electronic stuff as well. So I'm just going to pop out from our tour, and I'm just going to go back to the PowerPoint. So the robot itself is really important for milking the cow. We find that's very important, but we have different technologies as well that we can add on to the robot. We can put a body condition score camera on that allows us to see how fat and thin the cow is, then determine if she's getting too fat too quickly or too thin too quickly. We have ways that we can check if the cow is pregnant. We know if she could be coming with mastitis. That's that infection I was telling you about. We have other technologies that know how healthy the cow is. She's really healthy, not feeling the best, or she's sick. And we can do some more preventative maintenance to get her healthier sooner and feeling good. And then we have another kind of technology which measures the cell counts in the milk to determine the quality of milk that is needed as well. So lots of cool technology within the robot itself, but also with all the other things that we can add on over time, and it's all about the cow. It's all about having her healthy and living as long as she can live for the overall productivity and economical aspect for that dairy farm. So Alex, Linda, I've come to the conclusion of the presentation. So if there's an opportunity to take some questions, I'd be certainly happy to do that.
Jason, thank you very much for that incredibly interesting presentation. I'm going to turn things over to Alex, but I just wanted to let our participants know that we have recorded this webinar, and in 2 days it will be available. So if you have friends who weren't able to join us today that you would be interested, and they can still learn from Jason. Okay, Alex, over to you.
Thanks, Linda. So there are 3 questions in the Q&A box currently. So if other people have questions, feel free to enter your questions now as we go, and we will get to them. So Jason, the first question is from another Alex. And Alex asks, if one quarter on the cow isn't usable, perhaps due to an injury to a teat or for other reasons, can the robot be programmed to use the 3 good quarters and leave the non-functioning one?
Yep, great question, Alex. And so this slide kind of shows that. So because we track each quarter individually, we can program the computer to say, hey, there's something going on here. We're not going to milk that quarter. If there's a real health aspect that we're maybe not comfortable with, we'll take the milk away from each quarter and safely discard that milk. But we could certainly say, hey, do not milk that 1 quarter, as you can see here. Good question.
Very good. There's a question about calving. So you mentioned the calving pens where the cows go to give birth. And the question is, are the calves able to drink milk directly from their mothers?
Yep, so it depends on the farmer themselves and how they manage that. Sometimes they will allow them to be there, but we also want to make sure that the calf is getting really good milk. So the very first milk that a cow produces after she's had a calf is called colostrum. It's a little thicker, it's chock full of nutrients for that calf. And if that cow is maybe not feeling the best, maybe her milk won't have all those nutrients that the calf needs. So they'll give it some additional kind of milk that has all those nutrients to make sure that that calf is getting that first milk into its body is good milk, especially for the next 12 to 24 hours. So it's a thing that the farmer manages right to the detail to make sure that baby calf is going to start her life off really well.
Okay, the next question is whether people monitor the robots live as they're working.
Yep, definitely. So we have a lot of technology that you could be standing beside the robot, you can be in your office, but a lot of it, as you can imagine, is done on your phone as well. So they could be sitting on a beach in Mexico and they can pull up and seeing what cow is walking in the robot, how much milk she gave, if there's an issue. They can even fix it from their phone as well. And so what the robots will do, if there's a bit of an issue technically, it sends a notification to the farmer over their phone that there's something going on with one of the robots. Then either they can actually fix that problem right on their phone, and that's very helpful, especially if they're in the tractor planting or harvesting, or they've gone to the hockey game and they don't have to run home to do that. And so all that technology feed of information is right there at their fingertips.
Great. The next question is, how do the robots take the milk? So I guess what gets it from the cow to the bulk tank?
Yep, so there's a bunch of lines that get there. So I'm just going to see just within the room itself. Maybe I don't show it. This is probably, I'm just going to zoom this picture up here a little bit, if it will. So there's all these 1-inch lines that go from the robot across the barn and then into the milk house. So these lines here will then eventually get into the tank. But that's after it goes through a filter to make sure that there's no little bits of straw or debris. And so that gets filtered out, and then it goes through these plate coolers to cool down the milk before it gets in. So it all goes on a stainless steel 1-inch line that gets washed 3 times a day. So the robots will shut down. It'll wash for about a half an hour, go through some different chemicals to keep it clean, and then be ready to have milk go through it again.
That's great. And there's a vacuum system, right? So it's almost like a vacuum cleaner pulling the milk along.
Sure. You're right. Yep. So the vacuum is pulling that milk to the tanks. Yep.
Okay. Ruth would like to know what the lifespan of a cow is, and do the robotics extend the cow's lifespans?
Right. So I would say a cow would be about 5 years old. So generally about 3 lactations. So that means she's had a calf 3 times, has had a year of milking. And so it's about 5, but I'd say it's increasing all the time, mainly because we've been able to know how to treat cows even further. So with the other systems of a Parlor or Rotary, the cows have to walk to go to the milking parlor and stand and wait to get in to get milked. But the life of a robot cow, oh my goodness, like I would love that life. Like they pretty much just lay down for 12 to 14 hours. They go eat, and then they go to the robot 3 times a day, and it's all on their own schedule. So the farmer themselves, they don't have to be out there, saying, hey cow, let's go to the robot. There is a bit of a training process for the young heifers, but generally it's a most relaxed, it's like going to an all-inclusive resort. You lay down, you eat, and then you go and you have a little time. There's a lot of socializing of cows. So cows are way more relaxed. And we know as humans, if you're more relaxed, you're probably going to live a longer life. So it's the same thing with a cow.
Okay, thank you. I think you sort of answered the next question as in your previous response. So the next question is, how often do the cows get milk?
Right. So we try to aim for around 3 times a day. But if she's producing a lot of volume of milk, so a cow, when she has a calf, generally from there to about 150 days, she's milking a lot. And a lot, could be, a lot could be about 60, 70, 80 liters a day that cow could be milking. So she's going to come to the robot 3 times. But if she comes 4 and 5, that's good, because there's a little less stress on her udder. And that's how she lasts longer as well, because we're able to milk her a couple more times. So there's not that stress on her udder with a lot of milk. And yeah, so that's the number of times we try to aim for.
Okay, thank you. And maybe one final question. People are wondering whether you know the names of any of the other cows, either in your presentation or your cow.
Well, I don't, but certainly cows do have names, or they're all identified as an individual, and that's how they certainly treat them. Even if the larger environment, an individual cow doesn't get lost, because there's a data on every single one. So, yep, sorry, I maybe don't know what these girls' names are, but I've always remembered J-Spot, because she's a pretty unique cow herself.
Very good. Oh, I see one final question maybe. asking what the cost of one of these robot units is.
Yep, sure. So, the unit itself, ranges from about $150,000 to $200,000. And it depends how the whole system gets set up. There'll be some additional expense to that. And, it maybe sounds like a lot, but these robots will last between, 10 and 15 years, closer to 15 years. And so the amount of labor that you would have to hire to do the same job, it certainly makes more sense to have this in an automated process. The robot gets there on holiday mornings. It doesn't take weekends and vacations. So it's certainly nicer for people to manage the technology instead of the labor. And that's just on the farmer themselves. Some farmers really like working with a lot of people, and that's why they have the other kinds of way to milk cows. But yeah, that's kind of how the costs and how people think about where they're going to get that differential of getting more milk production, cows lasting longer. It'll pay back in the investment in that robot farm.
Okay, I think that's all for the questions. Maybe Linda, we'll turn it back to you.
Well, Alex, I'm going to let you thank Jason since it was your idea to invite him. But Jason, I just have to let you know that we have had so many wonderful compliments for you in the chat. People have found your presentation enormously enjoying and informative, and that is wonderful. Also, I'm just going to say that we have most of the people still here that we started with, which is also a wonderful compliment to you. And given the fact that we have classrooms here, you have probably reached today about 1,000 people, and we are very grateful for your contributions to Science Rendezvous Kingston. We would welcome you back next year in a heartbeat. Okay, back to Alex.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jason. It was a really great presentation, and we really appreciate you taking the time to do this today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I'll just say, keep drinking milk, everybody, because it's really important for your health, and the yogurt and the ice cream and the cheese, whatever, keep drinking it, keep supporting your local dairy farmers. And maybe they would love to have you at your barn as well. And by the way, that picture on the wall, that's Rose. I call her Rose if you wanted to know her name. So anyways. Take care, everybody. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Jason.
Jason, that was really wonderful. People are still writing in the chat about how much they enjoyed it. They've given you all kinds of standing ovations with emojis. So you certainly did a fabulous job today. So Jason, what has happened today is that we have added transcriptions, closed captioning to your presentation. And in a day or so, we will upload it to our Expo FP platform, and we will let others know that they can still participate even though they weren't able to be here in person today. So I am expecting that there will be lots of people tuning in.
If you could share that link, we'd be even happy to, forward that on as well through our DLaval network as well.
Absolutely. You will be informed of the link, and as soon as it's up for sharing. And again, if you have any other information or links that you would like to share with participants, we'd be more than happy to add those to your page. So we'll go from there. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that the virtual tour is publicly available, right, Jason?
Yep, it's publicly available. Yep, anybody can go on that if you want to go see that barn or other barns in the area.
So
Yep.
we could add that link to the.
But I think having your voice over the tour is really helpful. Yeah.
And that's a DLaval Cream Separator behind you, right, Jason?
It is. Yeah, I bought that at a auction. 1917 is the patent on that one. Yeah. Yeah, I have a bit of a, I like history and the antiques, so yeah. Good stuff.
All right.
Okay, Jason, thank you
Thank you.
very much. Pete and Selena, thank you for your technical help on this.
Oh, you're welcome. It's
Really
very good.
we really appreciate it. And Pete, did you enjoy that presentation?
I did, yes. A friend of
Yeah.
mine actually owns a farm that runs with all that technology, and I had a tour of it, and it is amazing.
It is, it really
Oh,
is.
yeah.
When Alex suggested this back last fall, I wasn't sure, but boy, oh boy, Jason did a little presentation for us back then. And now that I see the response, Jason, we may have to bring in a robot for the actual live event next year so people can see how it
There you
works.
go. You
Or
go.
a cow. I don't know. We'll have to have one or the other.
Even one of those alley cleaners would be pretty neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, that's great. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time to call it a day. And Jason, we will continue to be in touch through email. And again, thank you so very, very much for this presentation. It
Welcome.
has
Thank
been so successful, and you deserve a pat on the back. So please give yourself one from us. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
All right.
yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay. All right,
You're
Pete.
welcome. Yep.
That's a wrap. That's
Okay,
a
I'll
wrap.
see you tomorrow.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right.
Bye now.